Hey, welcome to Band Advice TV. I am Mark. This is
Matt.
This is Matt and Mark's astute observations and insightful discussions about music podcast. Welcome you. This is episode 6 now. Can you believe 6 already?
I can't believe it.
I tell you, it's a lot of fun. I've been enjoying doing this, but there's a lot of work that goes into doing this as well.
Man, I'm telling you, the behind the scenes stuff's the killer.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna spend a couple hours today recording several episodes, and then I'll have to go through and do another hour or two per episode of editing and making us look a lot better. You know, take that frame and kind of thin it up some.
Yeah.
Change the lighting, stuff like that, and editing out certain choice words, I'm sure. No, that never happens, right?
No, never.
But, you know, once you get the video out there, though, this is something I've learned, man. It's like, it's a lot. I mean, it's not just about getting the video out there, because then you gotta promote it.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, first of all, you hit all your peeps on Instagram and on Facebook and things like that. But then once it goes through my list and then goes through your list, it's like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, right.
And I know that it's the same thing with the DIY music too. You know, you can get it out there, you can get it onto iTunes, into your Pandora and all that other stuff. But what's the next step? How do you promote it beyond that?
Well, there's all sorts of answers to that question. I always liken it like this. It's like, okay, content is king nowadays.
Yes.
So once you have the content, which that's a whole nother episode, writing the songs, learn how to play, learn how to record, all that stuff, getting the content together, that is nothing more than your ticket to the top of the next trailhead.
Yes.
That's it. That's arrows for your quiver. And so, you got to have a bunch of content, but you also have to have ways of promoting it. So I read all those things about how to promote your music online, how to promote your music without sounding desperate, how to promote your music effectively. All those kind of articles talk about different things you can do to promote your music. And that, you figure out real quick, is a full-time job in and of itself.
They don't tell you how to find the time to do all that. On top of all the other stuff that got you to the trailhead. So.
Exactly. And so it's really frustrating at times when you're like, man, I could spend a whole day and a whole week just doing promotion stuff, getting in touch with playlists, making friends with radio stations, making inroads into, other people's connections of, listeners of whatever kind of music you're putting out there. I mean, there's just so many things to do all day long. There's just not simply time to do them all. Right.
It's really interesting. If you look back at the history of music, it's like we're the same game, just different players. You go back to the original, when publishers were king, before records, before radio, and music was basically printed and distributed, and then they'd go down and buy sheet music, take it home, and little Susie would play it around the piano, or orchestras would play it live and stuff. That's how music was bought and sold back in the day. And you have the publisher, which is what we'd call the modern day record label, is what the publishers were. But then they had this whole network of promotions. They have these guys called song pluggers. These are the cats that would sit there at the piano inside these music stores, and they sit there and play the songs. And if somebody wanted to hear what a song sounded like, they'd take it over to the cashier. The cashier would send it upstairs to the mezzanine level where this guy's playing piano, and he'd play the song, and then everybody in the store would be like, "Ooh, that's great, I'm going to buy it." And a lot of times these guys were on the payroll of the publishers. That game started back then and didn't change much as we moved into modern times. So if there was a break in the requests, they would plug the songs from these publishers. And, and then we fast forward to when recordings come out, and, you got the A&R guys, and they go ahead and they press the records, and they send them out to the radio stations, but you still have to have somebody on the phone bugging them. What'd you call them?
Well, they're like, they're song promoters. The
song promoters, right. They would get on the horn, and they'd call up these radio stations and just say, "Hey, hit this one," or "Hey, we're going to be in town," or "Hey, check the envelope in your top desk drawer there. I left you something," and and the other nefarious things that we don't necessarily need to go into, but your imagination will. Did you ever watch that HBO series called Vinyl?
I heard a lot about it. I never did actually see it.
It was interesting. They took a lot of historical license or creative license with the history of some of this stuff, trying to group it all together into a single timeline. But the whole prostitutes and cocaine thing. It definitely highlighted that aspect of the music business. And of course, because you wanted the radio stations to play it. That was the best promotion ever, because the kids will hear it on the radio, they'll go down and buy the record. Well, now here we are in the digital age, and yeah, we can go ahead and put the stuff out ourselves, but we still got to get it in the hands of people. And once you've exhausted your stuff, so what's the next gig? I mean, what's the answer?
Well,
You
of
get
course,
some
it's cocaine,
15
cocaine and hookers. What else? No.
Do you hire your kid's 15-year-old social media guru to get out there and hit the pavement and make these email lists and Instagrams and viral stuff, or do you pay the money for these services that offer these same things? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what the answer is. I mean, I tend to try a few things and see how that works and see if I get any results. And once I'm satisfied, either I'm going to get some results or I'm not, then I just kind of maybe move on to something else. But, 90% of what I spend my time doing is trying to continue to get work.
right.
Live work is, 3/4 of how I make my living. And so I have a lot of time trying to keep that going and keep, if I need a bass player, a drummer, if I need a whatever on this gig, how am I going to get that, whatever. And so, I'm not very good at promoting the stuff either. And I just kind of watch the big guys, see what they're doing, I mean, okay, well, I understand they got a huge audience, a lot bigger than my audience maybe, but, they're putting stuff out continually. It's constant content.
Okay.
That's one thing I've noticed is it's constant content, whether it's a backstage video somewhere or them playing some instrument or them playing one of their songs or them acting ridiculous.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a studio release. It can just be.
And that's the beauty of it.
Interesting.
Now, you don't, there's the bridles are off. You can put out anything you want. There's no filters. There's no
Right.
gatekeepers
Okay.
really. And so, the days of waiting for all this post-production on an album, it's just not all that much necessary nowadays. I mean, my own releases, I've just kind of come to the realization it's a lot easier now to put out music that's just digital in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not printing a CD on everything I'm putting out. I'm just putting it on my website and see if I can get some people over there interested in checking it out, and social media is just this reams of paper written about that. And, it's all these algorithms and all these things that I've learned just on Facebook, Instagram, etc. I mean, you kind of start to figure out, it's like, well, if I'm just sharing YouTube links, then those posts are automatically not going to be seen by near as many people on my friends list.
Okay.
That's the way Facebook has set it up to where they don't want you leaving their site.
Okay.
So a link that's
That makes sense.
Shared from YouTube is automatically not going to be seen by near as many people as it would be if it was a Facebook native link where you actually put the file on Facebook.
Right. Right.
The problem
That makes it tough to monetize that, though.
Well, I think you can.
Can you?
I think you can. I've read something about that not too long ago, and I just don't have the time to follow all
Right.
these little leads every single time something like that happens. And then once I get to it, read about it, it's like, well, that all makes sense, but I don't really know the steps to get it all together, And so I'm not the one to take advice or an example on being great at promoting stuff online, but I do it as much as I can, as good as I can, and some things work, some things don't. I mean, it's crazy, like I just put out this EP on the website. You can download this EP for free if you put in your email address.
Okay.
So behind that, I wanted to design the fact of, okay, the people that really want to hear from me, they will be on the mailing list.
Right.
That way, it's not like they're going to miss some post that I put up once a week or twice a week on social media. They're not going to miss it. They're going to actually see it in their inbox.
Okay.
So my thinking is get the people that really want to hear from you and get contact with them directly.
Mm-hmm. So on your email stuff, you're curating this list. Are you using a service like Constant Contact or something like that that's tracking and giving you some analytics as to how many views and click-throughs and stuff you're getting?
Yeah,
on?
there's a back end of it. My website's hosted Bandzoogle, and so there's a back end of it that'll tell you, Here's what the percentage was of people that opened the message. Here's how many was delivered. Here's how many bounced back. Here, and there's some analytics in the backside of it. And so that's been kind of helpful. I mean, even myself, I'm a subscriber to 100 probably email lists. Do I open every one of them? Absolutely not. Do I want to? Yes, I do. Guess what the commodity is here? It's time.
Right.
And so that's, you think about your average person. I mean, they don't have 4 hours a day every day to look at every email list they get, and so it's just a real struggle to maintain and attract attention in this day and age. We are being entertained to death, Mark. Seriously.
I tell you, it's crazy. So do you still feeling that email is a viable service? I mean, I know that the younger generation now is more into the in-app messaging and post and social media kind of stuff, and that they don't use emails anymore. Yeah. I actually had some millennial at my business where I work the other day says, "Why do we collect email addresses? Nobody uses it." It's like, well, because our core business is the 50 to 60-year-old businessmen. That's why we collect their email addresses.
Yeah, and those people think they're really, hip and on the cutting edge now if they have an email address that they actually know how to get to and they can actually tell you what it is.
Sure.
But, I mean, the younger ones, it's just all gloves are off.
Right. So plus emails, there's just that inherent flaw in the whole design of it that anybody can email anyone, and in the spam part of it's killing it. So,
yeah.
If I did not need it, if it was not a necessity, I wouldn't have an email address these days. I really wouldn't. But
where would you get all your messages from, you think?
Probably some sort of in-app message thing. If I want to hear from somebody, I'd let them text me, or there's a bunch of different group text kind of apps that are out there. Group Me and
like WhatsApp,
Remind Me, WhatsApp, all those kind of stuff. Yeah. So something to that effect, but then once again, you're trying to curate a list, and how do you get to these people, and I like your idea of releasing the EP, and I must have missed the Facebook post on that, otherwise I would have gone and done it.
Yeah,
I will after this is over.
Well, so. And that's the thing. It's like I always feel like, okay, I don't want to be a pest.
Right.
I want to have a presence out there, and I don't want to feel like I'm cyber begging. Mm-hmm. I know that I've practiced long and hard at my craft, and I'm this is my life.
Right.
And, I'm putting it out there, making it available, but I don't really respond to just browbeat advertising either. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like there's a lot of that. And so I try to make it make sense, but like I said, I look at some of these people that have got 800,000 followers, and, the trick is they're putting out content every 2 hours.
Right.
And I that right there could take all day, just doing that every day.
Right, absolutely. And then that comes down to the whole my dogs are on the loose. That comes get out of here. Okay. Edit that section out. But then it comes down to what you edit that section out too. Okay. So yeah, I totally get that you don't want to pester people all the time, and like you said, cyber begging. But is posting content cyber begging?
I guess not.
Out! Get out! Go downstairs now. Downstairs. Kids don't shut doors.
What's that? Is that a boxer?
No, it's a pit.
Pit? Okay. Is that the one you adopted, rescued, or something?
He adopted us. Showed up on our front porch on the coldest day of the year.
Oh man, 4 years ago. It's hard to turn him away like that.
And then couldn't find a home for him, so we ended up adopting a second one because that made sense.
Yeah.
So we got a Bajan Frise. It's like, and the Bajan's the boss. That's just funny.
Oh man.
All right, so get back into mode here. All right, so I get what you're saying about the cyber begging, but also to your point, you're saying that you got to constantly put content out there. Mm-hmm. So striking that balance.
Yeah.
How does it look like you're putting out interesting content to drive people to your site without it looking like you're just trying to drive people to your site?
Yeah. Well, that's the dilemma.
That's the $1 million question. Huh?
That's the dilemma. It's like for me to feel comfortable about it, plus to get people engaged. And what I've realized is, okay, sharing a link to your YouTube channel on Facebook is just going to do very minimal to getting people engaged. It's not even going to do much in your likes, subscription, anything. They'll like it, but they're scanning to the next thing.
Sure.
And so, likes don't always mean, like, okay, everybody that liked all of my posts about the EP, do you think every one of them signed up on the mailing list and got it for free?
No.
No.
Probably not.
There's the mystery. That's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night wondering, well, they'll like it, but they won't take the time to go download it. What's the disconnect here?
Well, okay. I do remember seeing your thing about the EP, and I'll tell you exactly my situation. When I saw it, I was in the middle of something else. I was scanning by, or I got distracted, whatever, and had every intention of going back. Well, once it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Right.
Facebook needs to have some sort of remind me later kind of thing. So when you like it, says, oh, bug me about this later.
Yeah.
And, that, and there you go, Zuckerberg. There's the next $1 million idea.
I always put it in saved. If it's something I want to watch later, it's a 30-minute video, and I'm doing something else, and I just really want to watch it, I'll put it in saved.
Then I forget to go look at the saved.
And
but
so
no, that's a good point.
It's almost like a filter, because it's like, okay, I can scroll through here and see what I want to see, okay, and save that. Then later on, I can actually devote some time to looking at it, listening to it, figuring out what it is. But I mean, not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody doesn't use email. There's just no one real answer.
Right.
You look at all the big bands. They got a website. They got how many badges of different social media things. About half of them probably I recognize. The other half I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest thing, rather than waiting for David Geffen to come sprinkle us with $1 million, is just hire somebody that's really good on all platforms of social media and the internet, and just let them kind of tell you what they think, is the best avenues to promote your music, Yeah. That's what I'm kind of looking for, is somebody that not necessarily is a music business geek, bigwig, whatever. I'm just looking for somebody that knows computer stuff, knows how to operate all the social media, and can just take that completely.
Sure. That comes with a price. And how many DIY musicians can afford somebody like that that's going to be...
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten
thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah, I've gotten bids from several of these firms, and it's amazing what they charge.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I'm like, okay, to administrate 2 social media accounts, run your email list, do this, do that, and it's just like, my God, I'm in the wrong business.
And how much time are they actually devoting to it? They say they're going to administrate this. I mean, when it comes down to minutes and seconds and dollars and cents, what's that equate out to? I mean, you got a room full of geeks. It's like, okay, well, I need to do a Twitter post right now, and they'll queue it up on their software. They'll spend an hour and get 20 Twitter posts all set up for the next 2 or 3 days. It's how much time are you actually paying for?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because they're not going to tell you they're not going to tell you their secrets to their business. That's
yeah.
The thing.
Well, it's time. You're trying to use your time for the thing that you do the best, and I feel really, like I'm in unfamiliar waters in a lot of that. And I could do really well with somebody that knew about that, and that was their job. But like you said, I mean, being able to pay them a big sum of money, maybe it's not going to be somebody that's doing this as a profession right now. Maybe this is just going to come from, somebody who's in their 20-somethings that wants to learn how to play guitar, and I agree to teach them for however long, and they agree to work however long on whatever
that with
project.
Sean for a long time, didn't you?
Yeah, and that was really good, and I'm really into the bartering, trading type thing, because the idea is you want everything to come out good for everybody.
Sure.
And too many times in business arrangements, I feel like it's not so equal.
No, it's not.
And so something like that could be really beneficial to everybody involved. It
kind of reminds me of a story I heard about when Kid Rock was getting his start, and I guess he was sweeping floors at the studio and getting time at night, and he's starting up his record label. So he did the intern route. He basically says, "Hey, I've got this intern program. You can come work for such and such record company for the summer, and you're going to get this college credit and all that." And he just put these kids to work. And, that was back in the day when interns didn't get paid. Now when interns get paid fair wage like anybody else, which
not all of them.
Well, it is in my company. We're paying our interns, and sometimes it's better salary than they're paying people that work there.
Man, I see all the time.
Crazy.
People are looking for interns, and it's like, I've tried some of that myself, and I mean, I live in a small town, so it's kind of hard to draw people that have the the drive to and understand what you're even doing. It's hard to find people like that, and so I've explored some of that too, but at the end of the day, you still got to make something attractive for them. You got to have something there that they want, and there's plenty of things that are non-paid things in the music business. Don't get me wrong, I've seen them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a good opportunity for a startup there if you get a couple of kids that are very tech savvy together, and then they come up with some stair-stepped packages that they can offer local bands. Say, okay, you're the 50-plus-year-old band that plays all the 60s and 70s music once a week. Well, we'll manage your email list and we'll do this amount for this amount. If you're the guy that's doing the DIY and wants to go viral on Twitter, well, then we'll do this for you, and kind of package it and price it accordingly. So
sure,
if there's any kids out there that are interested in that, contact me, because we might stir up a business or something. So
yeah, that'd be good. We had a little help on the tech part of it because, like I've said before, I feel it's exhausting sometimes to keep up with it all, and then.
Well, just now, I mean, it took 20 minutes to download the video off the phone because my Wi-Fi was all hosed up. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes we could have been drinking that brandy of yours.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, social media, but that's where it is these days. That's your song pluggers. It's these kids and these people out there that know how to, hey, you guys need to do a video on treadmills and that'll go viral. And it worked out great for them. They ditched their label and they're making a good living by getting that notoriety. So okay, go, I think. Yeah,
I'm not really sure what it takes on the YouTube thing to get it really going big time, but some of those people, I mean, it's just pretty amazing what they're able to make and the views they're able to get just doing some pretty normal stuff.
Well, see, that's the thing, the record labels, they missed the boat with the whole selling music online digital thing. But when YouTube came out and it started looking like that this was an opportunity to monetize it, they jumped on it. They created that Vivo, and that was basically, and if you see some of the older bands and you'll look at a video from before the Vivo, and then they'll be on the Vivo channel, says, and this is the starting point of where the hits were, so that they would continue their hits as they did the migration over to it. So they finally figured out monetizing YouTube was definitely a way to go, and so I got to give them kudos on that.
Well, yeah, man, it's just the sign of the times, I mean, in 2009 or 10, when my cable bill was nearly $100 a month, I just was like, well, there's just a whole lot more stuff on YouTube or Hulu or anything else that I'd much rather watch, and it doesn't cost anything.
Right. Yeah, people are there's a big exodus that's happening right now, and I knew somebody that worked at the cable company, and she explained to me why it has to be that high. It's because they have to pay for the programming whether people watch it or not. So you got them, and you are required to carry this many channels. If you don't, the owner of those channels may not give you any of them. And so
my problem was I never could understand why you couldn't just make it like a cafeteria type
a la
thing.
carte. Yeah, exactly.
Why do I have to subscribe to the second level of cable to get VH1 Classic?
Well, it's because of what that deal. It's like they have to pay for the channel. There's huge contracts that are going in there, so they can't gamble on the fact that X number of people are going to want it. They're going to say, we're going to go ahead and charge you for it already and give it to you already. And but the a la carte thing, and that's why the streaming is so popular now. It's why people sit around and watch YouTube videos all day long, because it's the a la carte. They can choose what they want to.
I just figure no matter how cool VH1 Classic ever got, I mean, there's thousands of hours of content available on YouTube that they would never put on there for whatever reason, And so I just soon spend an hour on that than I would anything else. And so that supersedes cable TV, radio, terrestrial radio. And so now it's sort of like, it's a whole different world. And so we're just figuring out how to make it work. It's like, you're in the Wild West now.
Exactly.
This is the Wild West. Nobody really has the answer. The major labels don't have the answer.
No. Yeah, because it's happening organically in a way, and you think it's going to go down a certain path, and all of a sudden it changes. And YouTube's hot right now. It may not be this time next year.
You never know.
It may not. It could be some new interactive technology that comes out that combines all this stuff, and I don't know. Who knows what the answer is? So.
The answer is it's always going to change, and you just got to be ready to
Right.
roll with the punches, you know.
And you got to be willing to take risks and try it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess it's a pretty good way of kind of wrapping this up when you talk about your music and the things you're trying to do with social media. It's like, just keep your eye out there, try it, and see what works. If it doesn't, you can try it again, or move on to the next great thing. You know, don't just limit yourself. There's too many things out there, and you never know what's going to catch. So.
That's what I would do. I'd try to follow up on every opportunity I see that looks good.
All right, cool.
Somehow or another.
All right, well, good talk, Matt. Good talk. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys also enjoyed it on this latest episode of Matt and Mark's Astute Observations. And in what?
Insightful.
Insightful.
Does that mean we incite people to riot?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Insightful discussions about music. So
All right.
here on Band Advice TV and bandadvice.com. Yes, all those websites need to be updated. I'm aware of that. I'll get to work on it too. So anyway, if you like it, click share. When the Patreon link shows up at the bottom there, be sure to click on that. One of these days, I'm actually going to print up some hats and T-shirts and some stuff too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy. Okay.
Be on Home Shopping Channel selling that.
No, but we can talk about merchandising in a future episode and the different opportunities that are out there for merchandising these days. So, all right, until next time, remember, it's not just good advice, it's band advice. Peace.